This is Tales and Whispers, where every story is felt, not just heard.
I want to share a story with you today that sounds almost like a legend, but it's 100% real. It's about how one person's quiet, daily, and often lonely action literally transformed the landscape and brought a dead piece of earth roaring back to life. So, where does a story like this even begin? Well, it doesn't start with some big, grand plan. It starts with a single, heartbreaking moment. A scene that would kickstart a mission spanning decades. Okay, so let's really paint a picture here. Picture this. You're walking along the bank of this huge, sprawling river. The air is just scorching, it's heavy, and there's no escape from it. And under your feet, it's just cracked, dry mud and sand. Absolutely no relief in sight. This is the exact scene that a young man named Jadav Payeng stumbled upon back in 1979 on a barren sandbar of the Brahmaputra River in Assam, India. And these poor creatures, they hadn't died from some disease, nope. They were washed ashore by a flood, and then they were just baked to death by the sun. Why? Because there wasn't a single tree, not one. No shade, no shelter, nothing. So right there, in that moment, seeing all that life just gone, Jadav made a decision. It wasn't some loud announcement for everyone to hear. It was a quiet vow, just to himself. A promise to the land itself. Okay, so he had the motivation, right? But the challenge ahead of him, it was just massive. Think about it. He was just one guy standing on this totally barren, sandy island, an island that got completely washed over by floods every single year. And you can bet the people around him were skeptical. I mean, who wouldn't be? One of the local villagers actually laughed at him, said something like, "Anything you plant here is gonna die before it even takes a breath." But did Jadav argue? Did he try to convince them? Nope. He just bent down and planted that very first bamboo seedling right into the sand. And then he came back the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. It was like he had this unbreakable appointment with the earth. You know, this part of the story, it's not some glamorous movie montage. This was decades of hard, repetitive work. He was up against everything. The blistering sun, droughts where there was zero water, crazy storms that would just rip his little seedlings right out of the ground. And if that wasn't enough, grazing animals would come and eat any new shoots. It was exhausting, it was lonely, and let's be real, a lot of the time it was probably just boring. But through every single setback, all the doubt from others, every hardship you can imagine, he just kept coming back. That was his secret. He just kept showing up to plant, to protect, and to carry on. So years passed, decades really, and most people, they probably forgot all about that guy who was out there talking to the sand. But the land didn't forget. And slowly, one seedling at a time, something absolutely incredible started to happen. So that one single seedling, followed by thousands, maybe millions more, it grew into a forest covering 550 hectares. Now, what does that even mean? That's about 1,360 acres. To give you some perspective, that's bigger than Central Park in New York City. A whole forest, planted and cared for decades, by just one person. And you know what happens when the trees come back? Life comes back. It happens slowly at first. The soil started to bind together. Shade started to appear where before there was just blistering sun. Birds started to return. They had no reason to stop there before. Then came the reptiles and deer, and then, get this, entire herds of elephants started making this new forest a regular stop on their migration path. A whole ecosystem, completely reborn from what was basically a desert. So let's just recap this timeline, because it's wild. It all kicks off in 1979 with that quiet promise he made. Then you have over 30 years of this solitary, daily work that nobody's really seeing. And then finally, in 2015, the world catches on. Jadav Payeng gets awarded the Padma Shri, which is one of India's highest civilian honors, all for creating what we now know as the Molai Forest. But you know, the most amazing part of this whole story isn't the award, or even the forest, as incredible as it is. It's the simple but really powerful lesson that's hidden in everything he did. I mean, you have to ask, right? Why did he do it? What makes someone spend their whole life on a task with no immediate payoff, no fame, and certainly no money? And whenever people asked him, his answer was always so simple but so deep. He'd just say, "When life began to disappear before me, I could not just stand and watch." His motivation wasn't some complicated philosophy. It was just a fundamentally human reaction to seeing a problem right in front of his eyes. What we can take away from Jadav's life is this idea, let's call it the principle of compounding action. That huge, incredible forest didn't just spring into existence from one big, heroic act. No way. It was born from one tiny seedling, planted again and again and again. It's all about the power of small, consistent actions adding up over time. So, okay, how do we actually use this in our own lives? Well, here's a simple framework. Step 1, pick one problem, something that really genuinely matters to you. Step 2, commit to a small, daily action, something non-negotiable. Maybe it's just 20 minutes. Step 3, make it super clear and measurable, like I will write 1 page or I will make 1 phone call. Step 4, and this one's really important, don't wait for anyone to cheer you on. In fact, people might doubt you at first, just like they did with Jadav. And finally, step 5, after 30 days, just take a look, see what's changed. It's not going to be a full-grown forest, but I promise you, you'll see a real, tangible difference. And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most important question, because Jadav's story isn't really just about him, is it? It's kind of like a mirror for the rest of us. His story really leaves us with one powerful question. And look, it's not literally about planting a tree, unless of course that's your thing. It's a metaphor for that one small, consistent action you can take starting today. So what's the thing in your world that you just can't stand by and watch anymore? What is the one seed you're going to plant, starting right now?